Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested here at Wondercon 2018. It's actually my first big convention of the year. Of course, I had to stop by the FX booth. Steve Neisen, how you doing, Steve?
It's good to see you, Norm.
It's great to see you because you're a model maker extraordinaire. We see you at all the conventions and you bring pre-production prototypes of ships that you're working for Brian that hopefully we'll get to see as products. And what do you have this year at WonderCon?
What we have here is the Poe Dameron X-Wing. It's 1/24 scale, just like the models that they made during the original series. As you know, there were no shooting models basically in The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens, so we basically developed this one from digital reference from the assets that were used in the movie.
So you're saying there's no studio scale, because the X or the Y-Wing you've built before, the Slave one, the ATST, those were as perfect as you could make replicas of what the miniature shop made. I've seen maquettes that Lucas has had for the digital artists, but those were not shooting models?
No, one of the guys that grew up in the modeling world with us is named Neal Voss. He works in England. He actually did all the pre-production design for the T-70. And he did his in 1/24 scale because he likes the studio models like us. So there were, I think he said like 6 to 10 models made, but they were all pre-production so they could show what it could look like. So as far as filming a model of the T-70, there is not one in existence.
So what do you have to work with? You said digital reference. Is this like a CAD model? Is it just geometry, or do you also have textures and color?
Well, growing in model making, you know, you saw the Y-Wing and the stuff that we've done before, that's all reference-based. And this is reference-based as well, except a lot of people think if you have a mesh, you can just print it and here it is. Well, you know that's not the case. The meshes that come from the film side are more texture maps, and a texture map is basically just a painting of what the surface would look like. It has zero detail. Low poly content, super detailed texture maps. To a model maker, that's only good for reference. It has no, I can't print it, I can't make it, so I have to use a reference. And that's what I did here. We had ortho views, the top, side, bottom, back, of the Poe's digital model from The Last Jedi, and that's what this is. And what I did from there is we started building it. A fantastic digital artist, his name's Don Berggren. He worked in Battlestar Galactica when they did the digital stuff, so he's a phenomenal artist. So we worked together to design this ship for production.
So it was started a scratch built with digitally, not with styrene, and then from that digital model, what's your manufacturing process for this prototype?
So what we did here, we start with the design, come to a production piece, run everything, and you know, in the computer things fit. In real life, they don't, because there are different variances. So once we got to where we have a physical model in hand, where you still use all the same techniques, you still use scratch building, 3D printing, all different types. So once that all comes together, all the parts are ready, you do a mold and cast of all these parts. Then you take your castings and you build your first prototype. Then you're finding out all the little things that need to be sanded, things need to be, because we designed this to where the wings will open and close.
I was going to say, when we talk about tolerances, there's articulation here, so you know, some mechanical movement.
Yeah, we did. It should be, you'll be able to display it closed or open, and some of the details on this, that if you looked at the life-size one that's on display, I think they'll have it at Disney, I'm not sure, but I've seen it around. They had it at some of the openings and stuff. It's not dirty. It's very clean and like a life size, and you saw that on the X-Wing as well in A New Hope. Because we had access to the digital model, it was beat up. It reminded me of the X-Wings of old, and that's what we did here.
And that's all the paint chipping here, all that weathering here. That looks gorgeous. Now, can you tell me, from a design perspective, what's different between this X-Wing and an original trilogy X-Wing?
Well, back in The Force Awakens, when we first saw this model, they did a fantastic job. I didn't appreciate it enough until I actually built one. Neal Voss, I said what his name, the artist that did some of the pre-production, the wings are actually in halves. So when they come together, they form a single wing in flight mode, and then they separate out. And it's it's a fantastic design that I really never fully appreciated until I started building it. Some of the other things, the intakes are a lot larger. It goes back to Ralph McQuarrie's sketches. And that's what I see with the new movies. They're really looking back at some of the vintage stuff Ralph did and trying to accent their models and make them look that way.
It almost looks more angular, thinner. Everything is thinner, like almost like a pencil drawing.
It's about half-inch shorter than an X-Wing this way and about the same width. So compact, maybe technology got better in the future, you know.
Long time ago.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, maybe they still expand on their technology too. But as far as design goes, we came up with a similar design for the mechanism to spin. When the back spins counterclockwise, it raises the starboard wing up and the port wing down. And then the front one, when it goes up, rotates clockwise, it lowers the left wing down and the right wing up. So trying to get your head around that, you can do it in the computer pretty good, but then you have it in your hand. It was really confusing. I bet I put it together 3 or 4 times trying to get it right.
So Steve, what's next for this pre-production model as you guys want to put this out as a real product?
On that, this is a good question, Norm, because a lot of folks say, what's up with EFX? Why aren't they putting anything out? So this would be a great opportunity to kind of explain the process. Well, at New York Comic Con, we showed the Slave One. At Celebration, we showed the 4-foot Star Destroyer. Well, all those are in development. And what development means is we have a pattern, we show the license holder, the approval authority, and they either approve it or they don't. If they do approve it, then we move into the next phase, which is trying to get all the parts ready to be sent to our manufacturer, which is located in China. Well, because of some standard requirements that the factories have to have now because of the licensee, requires them to have a certain amount of regulations in place, or they're not certified to make our props. When that limits it down to very few factories available. So now imagine all these Star Wars and Marvel related props getting funneled to one factory. So the backup starts happening. So that's what this will be. Once we have the parts separated out, I'll send them an artist proof like this, so they'll be able to match it paint wise, and they will have all the parts in hand with the digital model as well, just in case they want to do it in styrene or whatever.
Right. And the one I'm waiting for is that ATST that you had at New York Comic Con. That one looked gorgeous, and hopefully that's still in the pipeline?
It is, and I can give you an update on that. We have located molds from the original ATST from Return of the Jedi. Those are going to be sent to me after this show, and we're going to remaster the armature part. Now, the molds are just the plant-on parts that cover the metal articulated armature. So we're going to develop that. We have a scan from the Lucasfilm archives, and we're going to recreate that armature exactly like it appears there. Then we're going to do it in die-cast metal. And that's the thing. It's going to be our second in the series of die-cast. We did the Little Falcon, and now we're going to do the ATST. So that is absolutely in play, and hopefully we'll see it sometime in the fall.
I can't wait to get my chicken walker. Thank you so much, Steve. It's always great to see you at this show. Thanks for sharing this amazing model, and can't wait to see you at the next show.